To have passion in life is everything.
What's your Everest?
Oh,
Is it
yeah.
that 200-inch buck?
They just look so impressive when they're wide.
Especially running away.
Welcome to this week's episode of Eastmans Elevated.
It's like a think tank for outdoor activity.
Sounds exactly like my hunting. Just always thinking about it, always trying to evolve it and make it better.
Here's your host, Brian Barney.
Yo, what's happening, guys? Got a brand new Eastmans Elevated for you. So on today's podcast, I have on Laramy Sasquatch Miller. So you may have heard of Laramy through some of his shows on the Sportsman's Channel or seen some of his programming. He's a great storyteller and really does a good job with these shows. And really, I got to learn the essence of Laramy on today's podcast, and it's great. It's like all built around this wood sense and this traditional mindset that he keeps, but it's built around this base of skills to keep yourself safe in the mountains, to be able to challenge yourself in the mountains, and then also to have that hunting skill set base to be able to go out and expect consistent success. And so I really enjoyed today's conversation. I think you guys are going to enjoy it too. I want to thank my sponsors for today's show. I want to thank Eberly Stock. I've been using Eberly Stock for the last few seasons, and they have a different pack for every different preference or every different use that you're going to come across in the mountains. And so I really like their kite pack. I use this as a day pack. I'll even take a quick overnighter with it. Comes in with a low base weight, packs the weight really well, good hip belt. And what I really like about it is it sits tight to my back so I can really hunt and stalk with it on. So that's a huge asset in a day pack. And then also, if I harvest an animal, it's burly enough to be able to pack out a load with me on the out trip. So like that pack, I use the little big top. I'll use that for 3 to 5 dayers. Comes in at a light base weight, packs the weight really well, operates really well for me on these smaller stay trips. And then for my longer stay, my expedition trips that are going to go 5 to 10 days, I love using their destroyer. Their destroyer packs the weight really well. It keeps the weight tight to your back so it doesn't hang off your back or pull on you. Great adjustments. All these packs are super durable. So that's what I'm going to use most of the time. They also have their new Vapor series. This comes on their main frame. You're able to change it out from a 2,500 cubic inch bag to a 7,500 cubic inch bag where you can fit everything and the kitchen sink. It's a giant bag. I also use this for expedition trips. Used it last year on my Colorado hunt. Used it last year on my big Nevada hunt. So it's a great pack as well. Comes in at a light base weight for so many cubic inches, and it's a minimalist pack design. It also has a meat shelf in it where you can separate the bag from the frame and put your meat right in there, which is really advantageous when you're doing one of these expedition trips and you are fortunate enough to harvest a mule deer and elk. So great durability, great packs. If you're in the market for a new pack, make sure to check out Eberly Stock. I also want to thank Black Rifle Coffee Company. I love Black Rifle Coffee. I am hooked on this stuff. So I'm part of their membership club where they send me a new bag of coffee every single month, and you can be part of that for really great roasted coffee. I love the flavor of it. It's just done me right. And then for my hunting, I'm using their instant coffee sticks. Now, these things are a game changer. I've used other brands before, and I don't like the taste and I don't like the way it makes me feel. But the Black Rifle Coffee Company instant sticks, they taste just like real coffee. It's actually freeze-dried real coffee. So it doesn't hurt my gut at all. It tastes really good, and it's super lightweight. It's just perfect for the backcountry. So I've been using these the last couple years, and I won't use anything else. They also have tea bags that you can, it's kind of like an instant coffee that you can dip in your hot water. It makes a great tasting coffee as well and super lightweight for the backcountry. So if you're in the market for anything coffee, make sure to check out Black Rifle Coffee Company. They're veteran-owned, support veterans, and they just have a great product. You can also save a little money if you go to the landing page, Eastmans for Black Rifle Coffee Company, and then put in the promo code Brian. Will save you 10% on that. So make sure to check that out as well. And with that, over at Eastman's over there, If you want to take your hunting skills to the next level, take a look at Eastman's Tag Hub. There are over 800,000 data points on an interactive mapping module covering 11 western states and 7 big game species. Tag Hub also offers Eastman's Hunting TV early access to Beyond the Grid episodes, exclusive member-only blogs, plus a member's favorite, our Tag Hub 2-minute tips. All this plus a long-trusted Eastman's hunting and bow hunting journals. This is the real deal package when it comes to hunting the West. You can put in promo code 22828 and save 10% code off. You can take 10% off of any of the 3 available Tag Hub options. So with that, I should have that high country hunt that I filmed last season coming out here shortly on the Beyond the Grid. Super excited. I actually need to sit down and watch the cut on it. I heard it's really good from Eastman's, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it yet. So I need to check that out, but that's going to be coming out shortly. That'll come out on our Beyond the Grid, which is our Eastman's Hunting TV on YouTube. So you can keep a lookout for that. And man, just keeping busy, getting work done here, and podcasts out, and counting down the days. I've got a trip coming up here in 2 weeks, so super excited about that. Been out bear hunting a little bit. It's spring has been way late here in this part of Montana. The snowstorms have just been coming one after the next, a lot of moisture, and we haven't got much of that sunshine and warm weather yet that grows that grass. But it's starting to kick off here, and starting to see some bears. And I got a buddy coming in. Well, I've got my buddy Dan coming in here towards the end of the week, and so we're going to hunt for a few days and see if we can't get on some bears. So super excited, looking forward to that. And just trying to balance everything I've got going on with family and working out, and also my work and construction company. So so far so good. Yeah, it's doing more of the CrossFit workouts and doing some of the runs, but trying to keep my physical shape up there. Shooting is off the hook right now. That new Matthews is just shooting. Got those new vector arrows all tuned up, so I'm ready to rock and roll. I just need to draw back on a critter here, so hopefully we can find a bear, and then I have that trip coming up. But this is a great podcast. Let's get into this thing. So this is Laramy Miller. You may have seen his TV shows. He's also known as Sasquatch on there. He's known as Sasquatch because he's such a giant human being. I think he said he's like 6'6" or 6'8", and boy, it's you know, I'm 5'7" on my best day. I can't imagine trying to sneak up on something being that big. You'd have to be a lot more sneakier than I am. But just a giant human being, but a great storyteller, loves the mountains and loves the traditional way of doing things, which made for a great podcast. So this is Eastmans Elevated. I'm your host, Brian Barney. Here we go. Okay, I'm live here. I've got Laramy Miller. So I just met Laramy. He runs multiple TV shows, and you guys are just launching your 3rd season of Last of a Breed on the Sportsman's Channel. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's TV. I never intended to get into TV, but I kind of fell into it, and I guess it fits me in a way. So I'm going to keep doing it until they kick me off.
Yeah, you got a bunch of shows going. You are busy. A Mountain Man on the Outdoor Channel as well, and then you had a show for years before that too, right?
Yeah, so I had Sasquatch Mountain Man started in, I think, 2008, and then ran until about 2016 or 17, and then I took a little bit of time off and then started Last of a Breed, and now the network just came to me and they wanted a survival show. You got all these survival shows out on TV that are doing really well, so they came to me and they said, hey, we want like a Mountain Man survival show. And so I started the new one's called The Trail, just started airing on the Outdoor Channel. So yeah,
man, good
lots
for you.
of filming.
Yeah, that's a ton of filming. That can be a pain as well. But I think you've done so well just because of your authenticity too. Is that you're not playing make believe, like this is the life you live, and you'd be doing this anyways if there was or was not a camera there. And it's it's always good when you can be comfortable in front of that camera and really speak your mind, and it sure is portrayed like you do.
Well, and that's, I never, like I said before, I never anticipated getting into TV. Believe it or not, my uncles used to produce VHS tapes way back in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s, all about elk hunting and survival. And they were out of Colorado. They were doing it at the same time as, the Eastman started. And so, I mean, they had done it for years. Well, they actually passed away in a plane crash in 1995. And I always said, I want to follow in their footsteps because they were big outfitters. My family, I grew up on a cattle ranch, and all I know is horses and backcountry and hard work. So, I figured I'd jump right back into the outfitting side of things. And, I've done that my whole life, and TV just kind of fell in my lap, and, it's worked out great.
It takes a certain skill set, though, right? I mean, it's not like pretending or learning how to hunt once you have a show. It's building all those necessary skills to be proficient, and it's not easy in today's day and age. Like, there's a lot of hunting pressure out there. Spots are tough to come by, less and less places to go, and it takes building that skill set and really improving your hunting, each facet of it, to be able to go out and produce a TV show or to expect to find success out there.
Well, 100%. I mean, you look at guys, like us that do predominantly, backcountry or public land hunting, especially filming. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? We want more people to be in the outdoors and to get people into hunting, but then you got more people in your hunting spots, and there's that whole revolving door, which I love it. I'll take the competition all day long, but you have to really be proficient in the time and the effort that you have to put in to do hunts the way that, especially me. I mean, I do all traditional, so I'm hunting with a longbow, I'm hunting with a muzzleloader when people are hunting with rifles or a pistol, and so it makes it that much harder. And then you throw the camera on top of that, and to be able to be successful and get the shows filmed, and I mean, it's a lot of work and very time consuming.
Oh man, you're speaking my language, Laramy. Like, so I'm all bow hunting, and so including during general rifle season, I've committed to a bow and getting close, and I love the interaction, the challenge of it. But it's difficult, and then you throw a cameraman in the mix, and it adds like this degree of difficulty of getting two people into that close bow range. Not to mention, doing it on public ground, so having competition with other guys. And I'm the same way as I continue to adapt and evolve, and I can still go find my own experience out there in the wilderness and have it be me versus the animals. I don't do much of the combat hunting, but I tell you, it ups the degree of difficulty. And when I really look at the shows out there, there's a lot of different ways that guys are getting kills, but there's not many guys that can do the traditional, do the bow like you, or the muzzle loader, or a bow and arrow, and get that close, and a cameraman. There's a lot of shortcuts out there that I believe guys are taking. So I think like the guys that are doing it in that style, it's appreciated by the audience, because we're out there with those guys that are doing it the same way that we are. And so like I think there's this connection with their audience. I think that's one of the reasons you've done well.
Well, 100%, and I think, you have that, authentic background when people see you out there. Let's face it, tree stand hunting is very successful, but I hate sitting in a tree stand. For one, I'm not that patient. I want to go spot and stalk, and I want to go mingle, and I want to go test my skills with that critter. I don't want to wait for something to walk by me. Granted, that's the way a lot of people have to do it, but the way I was raised is they turned us loose. You might hike 5-6 miles away from camp when I was 12 years old, elk hunting by yourself. And so, we had to go learn kind of on the run, and I was very fortunate. I got to learn from, some really hardcore backcountry, modern day mountain men. And that's, I'm so thankful for that, because it gave me the drive, and like you were talking about earlier, I think when you're younger, you're more of a killer, right? You want to go out there and you're trying to get these big critters, and you're trying to, and I used a rifle, and I've always been a bow hunter, but I used a rifle, and I used, a few different things. But I think the older you get, or the further along in your steps towards being a good outdoorsman, you value the experience way more, and so you're looking at, like you're going out there with a bow during rifle season. You're doing those things it's all about the experience. It's about getting up close and personal. It's about, that competition between you and the animal. It's not between you and somebody else, wanting to show your buddy what you killed. It's between you and the animal. It's between Mother Nature. And, that's what really still drives me, is just that competition with myself and the critters.
Man, I love that. That's so well said. And it is this connection to the mountains too. If you're in it for the wrong reason, for a Instagram post or to show your buddies the animal you killed, you're not going to get too far. Like, you have to fall in love with the mountains in the process. And so much of this hunting skill does come down to being mountain savvy, like just being able to be up there and be comfortable, being able to go through trying conditions, whether that's weather or tough conditions to hunt in, and creative thinking is rewarded in the backcountry. The problem solving, creative thinking, like, it's the ultimate challenge and the ultimate chess match with those critters, especially mature ones.
100%. Yeah, 100%. That's what I've prided myself, from the time I was just a kid. I wanted to go out there. I was very survival oriented, as far as, my uncle, he taught survival classes, and he was known as the mountain rat. And so he took us out. I was 8 years old, took us out, taught us how to make shelters and make fires and what we could and couldn't eat. And, had us out there doing this stuff. And, I've just taken it another step now. I burn tan my own hides, and I do, I try to do as much mountain man style as I can. Obviously, we're in 2022. I live in 2022, so I'll never be a full blown mountain man, but I try to as much as I can, and just like the new show that's just started airing on Outdoor Channel, that's what it is. I go out there in my buckskins with a longbow on a horse, with a knife, a hatchet, and my sleeping bag. And I go out there and survive off the land for 32 days and travel 100 miles. It's called the trail. And I wanted to do it because I wanted it to be mountain man style. I self-filmed the whole thing pretty much. I had cameramen come and bringing me batteries every, 4 or 5 days. But, it was that challenge to me. It was one of the best experiences of my life.
That's incredible. Yeah, what an adventure, man. And if, it's like, I know we're in the modern day and age, but that's living like a mountain man for 32 days, living off the mountain and traveling. What an amazing adventure, man. That's so cool that it's so meaningful to you too. And then you were able to self-film and capture it so well. That's really cool. I can't wait to check out that show.
Yeah, and it was, the hardest thing the whole time was self-filming. I feel bad for all my cameramen because, over the years I've gotten after them for a thing here and there. I've had a couple of times where you hit record twice, double hit record. Well, I did it like 3 times out there in 30 days. So,
man, I hear you. It's like, I was always doing all these amazing adventures, and I thought, gosh, if I could just film this and capture this, I would have the best videos going. But then you get out there and you start filming it, and you get back and you see what you brought back, and it doesn't tell the story. Like, it's a different skill set to be able to have this vision, to be able to tell the story of the film. And so, throughout time, I got more comfortable talking into the camera, and I didn't get so camera shy every time that thing turned on, and I could, articulate my thoughts. But then I also started to learn what shots it took. And even with the cameraman, I feel like a field producer, like it's me and him working together to try to tell the story. And sure, he's got good insight at times, and then I have shots that I want to get because I know it will tell the story, and it takes years of doing that. So I'm sure you learned a lot, like that the first show you had for 9 seasons, and now coming out with these shows, they're going to do really well because you got that experience backing you. Like you know now how to tell a story and how to film the pieces to make it all come together, I bet.
Well, that's the whole thing, and it took me a long time. I'll be honest. When I first started filming, I had watched some television and thinking, wow, I can go do that. I'm out there all the time. I got all these great adventures I go on. But you don't realize that how it's captured in the camera and how you tell the story is what it's all about. Just because you can get out there and film big critters or film something die doesn't mean it's going to make good TV. You have to captivate that audience and tell the story throughout the entire episode instead of just having glamour shots. Glamour shots only go so far. And that's what it took me a long time to learn that. But, I was fortunate. When I started with Sasquatch Mountain Man, I worked with Kurt Gowdy's son, Trevor Gowdy. So, they got a long line of TV and telling stories, and so that helped. He helped break it into my hard head to, we got to tell the story, and you got to do all the other stuff along with the hunting.
It seems like you're a student of the game. I think it's like the best way to be in life, right? Where you just kind of drop your ego and you just
You never
continue
stop
to
learning.
learn. Yeah. And you learn from everybody out there. You ask questions and just try to figure it out. And the best teacher in life is experience. You can read all the books you want. You can, and you can cut the learning curve too. Just like, this podcast or watching films or reading books, you can cut that learning curve. But ultimately, it like comes down to getting out and living the experience, making it through it.
100%. Making those mistakes when you're out there, especially we're talking mountain hunting, making those mistakes obviously can be life or death depending on where you're at. But making those mistakes in the mountains and learning from them and learning from others that make those mistakes, that's what truly sets people apart. You got guys that go out there, but they don't take in the whole atmosphere, and they don't learn from you can learn from anybody. I don't care if they've been in the woods once. You can learn something from every single person's experience being out there. And that's what I've always tried to do, my entire life, is because at the end of the day, you should never stop learning, and you can learn something from everybody.
Man, that's it's so true, and I love that, learning something from everybody. Everybody brings a fresh perspective, and you can absorb that information. I also liked what you said about failure. Like, failure is a prerequisite. You're gonna fail on shots. You're gonna fail on stalks. You're gonna fail on hunts. Like, you gotta be able to pick yourself up. You learn from it. You try not to make the same mistakes twice, even though I'm hard-headed, and usually it takes me a couple times to learn my lesson. But I say it all the time. The only reason, that I have the success that I have nowadays is because I've made every mistake out there. Every mistake under the sun, I have screwed up. Every stalk, every shot, I've failed more than the majority of people out there, and that's the only reason why I'm any good, is because I have failed so much.
I agree 100%. I mean, I used to have a coach when I was younger. He used to always tell us, you never fail unless you quit. And so they're just all learning aspects. So everything that you do out there, every failed stalk, every missed shot, let's face it, you hunt long enough, you're going to fail stalks, you're going to miss shots, you're going to have whoopses. It's going to happen. I mean, I blew my finger off in Alaska, for goodness sakes, on my muzzleloader. But it saved my life. We can get into that story here in a minute, but yeah, every single thing that you do out there, and every time you have a hiccup, or even when you do succeed, there's something you can learn from that to better yourself for the next time. Every single opportunity you get to be out there, there's something you can learn from to add to your repertoire for the next time.
Man, it's spot on. Yeah, it's so fun to talk about the similarities. Me and you have both lived two different lives, but to hear the similarities in the way we think about the mountains and hunting, and how that applies to all our life. It's like how you do one thing is how you do everything. So when you learn those lessons and you live your life that way, it carries over into other facets of your life, like your filming and putting together these shows. You carry that same quality into it. So the 32 days, man, that is wild, traveling through the wilderness. You had your horse, the few items that you mentioned, like what an adventure. Like, give me some of the highlights or close calls or bad storms or some of the stuff that happens, if you can share before the show comes out.
It's already out right now, so I can share a bit with you. It was, man, I dealt with just about everything Montana can throw at you. When I first got in there, I rode into the first area where I was going to make my first camp, and I set my camp up, and I'd be danged if there ain't 20, I mean, there's 16 to 20 wolves. There's a pack of wolves in there. And they kept coming in and harassing my horse, and, it was a great area to hunt elk. There wasn't an elk anywhere close. The wolves had them all pushed, way far away, and, I wound up catching some fish, but I knew I had to get out of there, because you can only eat fish so long, at least me. I got to have that red meat. I shot a couple squirrels, and so I took off down the trail and wound up getting caught in a snowstorm. And I don't know if you remember last October when we got that big snowstorm and it got really cold.
Yeah, killed a great bull during that snowstorm.
Well, that's when I was out there.
It was gnarly. It got
that
cold
snow come in.
too.
Yeah, that snow come in. Of course, all I got is my sleeping bag, and I'm making little shelters, and the snow comes in and just it dumped about 1.5 feet, and then got like 5 degrees for like 4 or 5 days.
Woo.
I couldn't find a critter moving. I was melting snow for me and my horse to drink. I mean, it was miserable. I didn't eat for 5 days.
Woo. Oh,
yeah,
man.
And then,
that's the real deal. That's not.
Then I wind up going down the trail and actually did very well after that. But boy, it was, it was interesting.
That's touch and go. That's not. It's like that reality, that authenticity when you're making a show like that. To really go 5 days without food is so difficult. Like I know sometimes I'll push hunts past their max, and I've gone a couple 2 days, 3 days without food, and I am starving at the end.
Oh, you're starving.
Oh my
god. And your
gosh.
mind.
Yes.
Your mind starts going.
Yep.
You start. It's hard to think, and of course when you get that bitter cold too. I was cutting firewood constantly just to try to stay warm, and couldn't stay warm at night because when you don't eat, your body can't make warmth. And, I've gone into the woods a million times with very little, but that was the first time I went in there with nothing. And, when I wound up losing 36 pounds over the course of 32 days, which I'm a big guy. So, I went in there weighing about 270 pounds. I think I was 276, and I came out at like 238.
Wow.
And it was, but I was a healthy 238. I lost all my easy living life weight, and I was actually in great shape and doing great when I came out. But there were a lot of trials that I never would have anticipated. I didn't hardly see an elk the whole time, and used to be great elk country, but going through there, I couldn't find an elk to save my life. And, I've hunted elk and killed tons of elk over my lifetime, guided elk for years, but I had a heck of a time, trying to find them. And I was hoping, kind of banking on maybe I could get one down and then I'd be golden the rest of the time. Well, it took a while.
Man, I'd say. That's it's really interesting how you talk about the mental side of things, that mental fog, that you can't quite think straight, and it's dull, and just the lack of energy too, and when that starts going downhill, your mind and mental strength starts to wane as well. Like you got to fight really hard to keep yourself in the game, keep yourself operating.
That's when you make mistakes.
Yeah,
that's when you make mistakes.
Yeah.
And like I've told, I've got a lot of friends that are survivalists and have been on a few of these survival shows and stuff like that, and done very well. But I always tell people, at the end of the day, you can have all the knowledge you want, but what it comes down to is your mental capacity, your mental strength, and then being able to problem solve. Those two things are the number one. You can have all the equipment in the world, you can have everything, but what it comes down to are those two things: your mental strength and being able to problem solve. If you can't do those two in the woods, you're going to struggle, and so I'm always trying to hone my mental strength and trying to, I played sports too for a long time, and, I'm always that competition with myself and having that mental strength. And I firmly believe that's what's helped me throughout my life, is just being able to be mentally strong enough to go through those tough times and, push through those hard times, being able to adapt and, problem solve to make a bad situation a better situation, or a good situation better.
Oh, I agree. And that's wholeheartedly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Spot on. Yeah, that's so it. And it carries you through life, but mental strength isn't something that you can just decide you want. I mean, you can decide you want it, but you have to work for it. You have to build those calluses. Tough times makes tough men. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations and really challenge yourself. And every time you do, it adds a layer. And that can be, like, I use trail running a lot in my training. Is I can build those mental calluses when it's not even season, but then I rely upon those tough times in season, pushing on, getting over tough times, tough weather, like all these things just add these calluses over your mental toughness, where you just build it layer by layer by layer, and then pretty soon you got something that you can rely upon, and that positive self-talk, always looking to solve the problem, like you're talking about, like theorizing where's the next spot to go, what's my next move, what can I do right now in the present. And it's not fun all the time. Like it's a lot of the times out in the mountains or even bow hunting, it's miserable. Like you're putting yourself through mental and physical duress to try to harvest this animal in the ultimate challenge. But it's like the more you put into these things, the more it means to you when you accomplish it, and so
100%.
Yeah.
You look at, like, you being a bow hunter, how many times, or even rifle hunters, as well, but that mental toughness and that pushing through, how many times do you see people when they miss a shot and then they miss the next one and then they miss the next one because their mind, they're already conceding to missing, but then you get the opposite. You make a great shot and then it just gets easier and easier for a while. It's mental. When you have that confidence in your head to make that shot because you've already made it before, because, your last animal that you shot at, you killed, it's easier to shoot at the second one and then the third one. But if you miss that last one, that's in the back of your mind. And if you can't be mentally strong enough to push that out, guess what? It's going to be right there messing with you.
Guaranteed. Yeah, guaranteed, man. It does get inside your head for sure. And it's you just build that confidence over time, and you get to build your process too, as we all have like these styles that we like to hunt, whether it's really patient or really aggressive, or a mix of both, or knowing when you can be patient, but you build these processes, and then you kind of know what you're looking for. You know what to expect, and especially, like you say, when you've done it before, when you've accomplished it before, when I know I've taken a hunt down 10 or 12 days, and I've got it done in the final hours, after a miss or whatever the case is, like now I have that I can draw upon. Like I know I've accomplished that, or I've done that, and then, over time, you've done it over and over and over again in different species, different habitats, really challenged yourself to your max and overcame it. And so now when it comes to season and a tough hunt, like I embrace it. That's what I love. That's what I'm waiting all year for, just keep 100%. In it.
100%. Well, and that's the thing, I'm sure you get it too, but you get a lot of guys that haven't been out west, or, and that they ask you, what's the most important thing to be successful on a hunt, or, whether it's an elk hunt or a high country mule deer hunt or a spring black bear hunt or whatever it is. And it's your mental capacity. That's the number one thing to be successful in the mountains. It's just that mental, to have that mentality of you're willing to walk that extra mile. You're willing to, take that extra time, to practice in the summer, or to get ready before you go, or, and it makes it so much more enjoyable. But at the end of the day, it's that mental side, and you have to train your mind just like you train your body.
Man, completely. Yeah, it's such a huge factor. And you hear athletes talk about it, like it's in all these different facets in our world and in our life, but it sure applies directly to backcountry bow hunting and building that mental toughness. It's just going to be your best friend in trying times, but it takes going outside your comfort level. And if I'm being totally honest, some of these big extreme hunts that are above timberline, real steep country, or I know, I'm going to have to deal with early season lightning on the 10, 12,000 foot peaks, or grizzly bear country that I know I'm sleeping by myself. Having courage is not being is not that you're never afraid. You're afraid, but you do it anyways. You accomplish it, and you start working through it step by step. But it's not that I'm a psychopath or don't have any fear in me. I love life as much or maybe more than the next guy. I want to continue to live it, but you can't continue to live it in the comforts of your own house. You got to push yourself and get outside and go have these adventures, man. That's where you really learn and grow.
But that's living. Sitting at your house and thinking about it isn't living.
Nope.
You're getting out there and living it. There's a difference between dreaming it and living it. And, a lot of people, that's the same thing with like getting in TV. People ask me all the time, wow, or tell me how lucky I am, or how did you get into that? And man, it's just being in the right place at the right time for one, but it's not easy to stay in television. It's not all the glamour that people think it is. You make a bunch of money, and no, it's a job just like anything else. But when when I was younger and I was trying to debate, was I going to go guide or was I going to go work in the oil fields and make money? And my grandpa told me, he said, if you do what you truly enjoy, you don't work a day in your life. You know what? I gave up money to go guide, and it's worked out for me. But the guide life and the hunting life, it's a lot of work. And if you're afraid of work, it's the wrong path for you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's follow what you love, like find your passion and do it. But it's not that it doesn't come without its pressures, to try to make TV or film episodes, or it's a lot of money out there. I know, like when I'm paying a cameraman out of my own pocket, there's no guarantee that I'm going to recoup that back. If I'm not successful on this hunt, but I take that challenge, and sometimes they're not successful, and I've got to carry it over to the next one. But I continue to put forth effort. But yeah, it definitely it comes with its own pressure and stresses, and then also ups the degree of difficulty. And then for me, I have to mix and match filming and then just hunting on my own solo, so I don't lose that. It's like I want to film everything I do, or I'd love to put out everything I do, but for my own sanity, I can only go about every other hunt because I love that escape and being out there and not having to worry about two guys, just worrying about myself and really pushing.
100%.
But for me, it's a mix and match. But no, it's not easy, man. I don't envy you. That is tough.
Well, and I've grown to love it though. When I was, when you're younger, you're all about the hunt, and like we were talking about earlier. But as I've gotten, it's another aspect of the challenge for me. And so for me, I thoroughly enjoy teaching people, and most of the time with my cameraman, I'm teaching them in the woods, because I've been fortunate enough to be taught by people for, I grew up and I've been doing it for 30 years, so that also helps. But I just love being out there and sharing it with other people. That it's gotten. But I am like you. I do love my solitude, and like that trail deal. I mean, that was one of the best experiences of my life because I was alone. My best and worst enemy was my mind. And it was awesome for me to see myself transform a little bit through that. When you're alone for 30 something days, that's a long time to keep your thoughts to yourself.
You can't hide from yourself when you're alone that many days. Like you
my
find
horse
out
probably thought I was crazy.
And you might have been.
I'm sure I was partly.
Yeah. No, I love what you said there about loving what you do too and enjoying what you do. No, you're right. And we are fortunate to be able to, make a little bit or make a living like you do, off the outdoors and something you truly love. And I'm truly fortunate too. And there is nothing funner than when you can tell your story and I can show my family, my friends, my audience, and show them this awesome adventure that's out there for everybody to go have. Like there's no better feeling than accomplishing that, But for me, it is too, like that solo time, and then going out with the camera as well. And it is a challenge. It almost seems like me. Just like you, like I almost have to set my mind to creating the film. And so I'm out there and I'm enjoying the outdoors. I'm enjoying the hunt. I'm taking it all in. But I'm also more committed to making that film than I am to killing an animal. Like I have to kill that animal and kill it on film and tell a story throughout the way. So for me, video, and like I really got to commit to it. And, and that goes, I've done like a handful of solo ones, and I really enjoy filming solo because I can't always afford a cameraman, or I can't always, don't always have one with me. And so, I've got good at trying to figure out how to get the shots or set up the tripod, which is a total added degree of difficulty in the end. But I take pride in it, and the only way I can make a film solo is if I commit 100% to it, and like I am gonna get the footage or I'm not gonna shoot anything. Like that's what this experience, this adventure is about on this trip.
Yeah, see, and that's what's awesome about it though is just putting a little quirk in there. There's none of the situations we're in when we're out there are the same. You have similar ones, but none of them are the same. And adding that self-filming aspect to it just changes the whole experience. It makes you, when you go out there on your own without a camera, you're looking around and you're seeing the birds and the flora, and you're looking at all the beauties of the mountains. But then you take a camera out there and you're filming all that, so you're looking at it through a lens, and it changes everything, your thought process and the way that you do things. And that's what's cool to me is because it gives you just a little bit different experience.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good description of it. Yeah, I feel the same way when I'm out there. You're trying to capture it. You're trying to show, and you're trying to share this special experience you're having. Like, it for us guys to find our passion in something that we truly love, to be out in the mountains and challenge ourselves like that. Like it's a beautiful thing to be out there and be going all in. And it's just trying to capture those moments and that experience back there because they're fleeting. And as much as I get to hunt, it's a week, out in challenging myself, but then I'm back to work for a bit, and I usually, I have multiple trips that I do throughout a season. But that time is special that we get when we've got everything lined up and we are in the mountains or carrying everything on our back or on our horse. Or
Yep.
that's pretty effective the way you use that one horse like that. That's a great way to hunt elk and other species and travel the mountains, I bet.
I love it.
Yeah, that's do you ride a bunch, and then you could also pack the horse, just real like probably
So
got
I do a
saddlebags.
little, yeah, I do a little bit of both. So I mean, I'll ride, and then I'll stake him out and I'll go hike, or I'll lead him if say I get lucky, and I'll pack him and I'll walk out. But I love having the option of having the horse there because you can cover so much more country, and it lessens your workload. When you go out on a backpack hunt, everything's on your back. There's no piggybacking anywhere. So that's I love having a horse with me, just because heck, I'm already a big guy. I don't want to carry too much more.
No, it's a real asset. Like I have a buddy. It seems like elk hunting is meant for horses, and I'm not much of a horse guy. Like I've been around them and ridden them here and there, and probably had more rodeos than successful rides. But they never put you on the good horse,
Oh no.
But so I'm not a horse guy. I'm a backpacking guy where I have to train extra hard to carry that stuff out. But what I have realized is that elk are meant to be hunted off horseback, and I have a buddy that's in really good shape, college football player, and just loves to hunt bulls and catch brown trout. Like that's all that guy does, right? And so he lives life to the fullest, but he's really good at it hunting elk. But he uses that one horse as a rider, and he's like, Brian, it's a game changer. Like you show up
100%.
miles deep in the mountains and you got fresh legs, and this guy's always been able to climb mountains. He's an athlete. So like when I hear him tell me it and how effective it is, and get back your 8-10 miles, don't carry anything on your back, ride in, and then you've got these fresh legs to go hunt these elk. And it's also that physical exertion you put on yourself, like that can break you mentally, and day after day, or if you have a red line day where you walk too much, I know I'm going to pay for it the next day being sore, mentally dragging. But with a horse, you just show up fresh, and then elk are so damn heavy. It sure is nice to have a horse when you get one down.
Oh, I'm telling you. See, I played football for years as well, and that's how I used to train. Is I'd go run up and down the mountains at 295 pounds. I only had about 6% body fat back then, but it was because of running up and down the mountain. So training that way, and then once you do have that horse, like you were saying, you can go ride back in there, and then you can hunt your butt off from there. And then guess what? When you're coming out, you either pack them and you just walk out, or if you're not successful, you jump on the horse and ride out. So it makes it adds a whole nother level and dimension. Because I've done a ton of hunts where you either backpack in, or you're hiking miles before daylight every day, and your success goes down a little bit just because of your physical capabilities. Let's face it, you can only do so much and go so far. Mentally tough guys like us are going to push till the very, very end, but when you're pushing that hard, that's when you make mistakes. But when you can be fresh and you're out there, and I love it.
Man, yeah, that's exactly right. That being able to travel the mountains so effectively and efficiently. So, your horse, do you build like this connection and this bond with them? Is it like having your dog out there where you can really trust them? And I mean, they just seem like they can be so on edge, or and they can be so dangerous. They're so big, those
They can.
animals.
That's the other thing is horses can add a whole nother level of danger and a trial as well, just because you got to worry about them and food and stepping on the wrong rock or sliding down a mountain, or I've had a ton of horse wrecks. Of course, I used to guide on horses for years, but when you get a horse that you're comfortable with, like the horse I took on the trail was actually Green Broke. He was young, but he had the right attitude, and so I wanted to train him back there, and he came out a whole different, better horse. But it can be that challenge of you can't just take any horse and go back there. You take the wrong horse and go back there, and you both might not come out. But having a good horse that you're comfortable with, and that he's comfortable with you, makes a world of difference.
Gosh, I bet. Yeah, what an asset. And it is like the mountain man way. Like you can tell you know why those guys all had horses. It was just like such an asset in the mountains.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Well, and that's what I've lived my whole life. I've always said I was born 200 years too late. I'm the mountain man, the whole mountain man aura and that timeline. I mean, I crave it. I've watched Jeremiah Johnson. I can't even tell you how many times, and just, wished and wanted, fantasized about being in the early 1800s and going and doing that. And so, that's how I've that's why I've done so much horse stuff. And that's why I brain tan my own buckskins and wear buckskins when I'm hunting and, all that kind of stuff, is because, they were some tough hombres, especially the few guys that went off on their own and not in the big groups. I mean, just thinking about it gets me excited.
can you imagine how hardy those guys were back in the day? Just like you're talking about, the toughness, the mental fortitude. I mean, out there surviving on what they caught and what they hunted, and just being able to survive off the land. But there's no breaks. There's no safety zone. Just day after day of surviving back there. Yeah, it was definitely a different breed of human.
Oh,
Those
100%.
guys are tough.
Well, and that's the whole reason I named the show Last of a Breed, is because, like I said, I'm a modern day mountain man, and I crave that kind of stuff. And, like when I went on the trail, that's the one thing that was crazy to me is I didn't realize I'd lost so much weight, but then you think about it, you don't have any breaks. You are constantly, whether you're cutting firewood, getting water, looking for food, taking care of your horse, making shelters, you are constantly doing, if you're awake, you better be working, or else you're either going to starve, you're not going to stay dry, you're going to be in trouble. And so you're just constantly doing something. And that, when you don't have the technology of the mountain house and the, little gas stoves and stuff like that, it changes a lot. And it's so much work, but you look at what the mountain man did, and they survived like that day in, and the same way with the Native Americans, day in and day out, just living that way. And that's why they were so tough. And that's why they were notoriously hard to kill, because they just had that resolve and the aptitude to just keep going against all odds. And that, to me, that is just amazing. And, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, you're right. Like takes so much energy and effort just to survive back there, just to take care of the necessities. And I do think it even relates to the modern day and age. Mountain houses and tents and the whole deal, but the backcountry, the wilderness, it's tough out there. I don't care who you are. Like if
Regardless.
you're back there, even with all the best gear,
Yep.
you still got to be tough, and you're going to have to work at it. And maybe you have a tent so you don't got to build a shelter, which saves time. But you're spending a lot of your effort trying to hunt in this condensed amount of time, back in this country to try to get a chance to get a stone's throw of a mule deer or an elk or whatever the case is. So you're spending more of your effort there, but it's a shock to the system back there. And you want to talk about tired, like sleeping right, and how much like sleep deprived. Like a lot of times, up at that high elevation, you can't get much rest to even recover, and you're pushing to your limits. Like up in there too, I mean, it takes a toughness, and it takes these skills or this wood sense to be crafty up there, to take care of yourself, make sure you're warm, make sure you're safe, not going to get wet, make sure that you keep energy coming in, make sure that you don't get dehydrated. Like you said earlier, like any one of these big mistakes like that could potentially kill you back there. You are responsible for yourself.
And you think about it. So I used to guide at 10,000 feet and higher when I first, all growing up. So I lived at about 8,500, and then, we would guide all the way up to 12.5 in Colorado. And, that altitude, that's another thing people don't realize. You got all these guys that want to go do these backcountry hunts, but the energy it takes, and then you add the altitude in there, you get tired twice as fast, probably more than twice as fast. You can only do half of what you think you can do. And so having that mental toughness and being prepared for things like that. I mean, you got altitude sickness. I've had to carry people out. I actually ran a horse to death. It colicked on me because I had one of my clients get altitude sickness, and we didn't have a sat phone. And I mean, got it really bad. And, it's some serious stuff. It's not anything. The mountains don't take any prisoners. Like in Jeremiah Johnson, the mountains got their own ways. They're beautiful, but they're just as rugged as they are beautiful, and just as dangerous. And, a lot of people don't take that into account, but, the energy and just to go every day, like you're saying, you can have all the technology in the world, but just the energy to keep up with your everyday hunts. And then you got to come home, you get back to camp at dark, and then you got to cook yourself dinner. Then you go to bed, and guess what? You got to wake up in 3 hours. And you're sleeping at 10,000 feet, and you're getting half the oxygen that you got at home when you're, at 3,000 feet or at 500 feet. Some of these guys that come out and do it, it's a whole different, just a different atmosphere. And, there's people get in trouble doing it every single year. And, so being prepared is the biggest thing, but having that mental capacity to be able to push through some of that too and knowing when enough is enough.
Yeah, you have to know when to quit sometimes too, right? Or at least when to take care of yourself. Yeah, that's I was just smiling as you were saying it. Those are the most extreme. That's like I don't know in school if it'd be the college level, but the upper echelon, next level, like you better, have your stuff together, and you better be in good physical shape, and you better have that mental fortitude to go do these super extreme ones, high elevation, really challenge yourself. And it's why I love them. Like, I'm a little bit nervous going into them, but I think you work your way up to that. Like, there's so many different levels to this game and places where you can take this, that your first hunt shouldn't be one of those extreme hunts.
No.
It should be in the foothills or the breaks, or it should be truck camping and then exploring per day and day hunting and getting comfortable with navigating, getting comfortable with trying weather, but challenging it out in a safe way where you can be back at the truck, you can warm up, and then you just keep working up to it. You push the days, you push the terrain, you push what you're capable of, and then pretty soon you're doing the most extreme hunts, like 32 days on the trail with just your horse and your stuff, but you got to work up to that and build those skill sets so you can do that.
Exactly. It's just like an athlete. It's just like anybody, you're training yourself. And so it's adding to your bag of tricks and, adding to your knowledge the entire time, and being able to not let your ego out the door and work up to that. And, you're going to be more successful in the long run. You're going to have a lot more fun in the long run because, when you have the knowledge and you have the aptitude to be able to go do it, it makes it so much more enjoyable. But when you go out there, and we've all had those trips where you go out there and it's a suffer fest, and you're just, every minute of every hour is just hell, honestly. But those are the ones, because there was something there that you either weren't prepared or, in some way, somehow you didn't add it up. You can have the worst weather, you can have everything, but if you're prepared and you have the knowledge to be able to counteract it, you're going to be able to get through, and it's not going to be as miserable. But if you're not prepared and you don't hone your skills and keep working towards that, guess what? You get into that situation, it's going to be a whoops. It's going to be a uh-oh.
Yeah, be in a world of hurt, and like you say, the mountains don't care. Like it'll throw more at you. There's plenty of challenges back there for sure. And it isn't beating Mother Nature. It's like coexisting with it back there.
Exactly.
But you definitely learn things along the way.
It's like being married. You figure out along the way how to work together.
That's right.
Early on, you're kind of sitting there and you're bumping heads because you each have your own way of doing things. Well, she's always going to win, so you got to learn to, maneuver through there, and that's the way the mountains are to me. You learn to love them, enjoy them, and work with them instead of fighting against them.
I love that analogy. Well, Laramy, like I've really enjoyed getting to know you and have like an in-depth conversation. Like I'm a fan. I can't wait to check out these shows. Again, tell me you've got one on Sportsman's Channel, a couple on Outdoor Networks. Where can we catch these?
All right, so we got the Outdoor Channel. The new show, The Trail, airs Friday nights at 7:30 Mountain Time, so 9:30 Eastern Time. And then Last of a Breed right now is airing Monday nights on Sportsman's Channel at 8:30. And then, of course, you always got your social media. It's just Laramy Sasquatch Miller. I'm 6'6", 270 pounds, so Sasquatch is my nickname. Kind of fits.
Spot on, I'd say. Well, man, I've really enjoyed it. Keep in touch and come back on the show and keep doing these adventures, and can't wait to check those things out.
Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys over there, and had a blast. And yeah, look forward to it again.
All right.
All right, take care.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. Super fun conversation. You can tell that Laramy just loves the mountains, loves everything that he does, has such a great wood sense and a great base at keeping himself safe, which I think is so important for us Western hunters, is to have the confidence to be able to live and thrive in the mountains and keep yourself safe and then also building that base hunting skill set. I think that's so important. So I really enjoyed that conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I want to thank my sponsors for today's show. Again, I want to thank Eberly Stock, just building great packs, durable, pack the weight right, good price point. If you're in the market for a new pack, make sure to check them out. Also, make sure to check out Black Rifle Coffee Company, just making the best coffee on the planet. I love the subscription. I get a new coffee bag every single month. And I look forward to it. I get it about the 25th of every month. So I've got a new bag coming up here in about 7-8 days, something like that. But it's just great coffee. I also love their instant. Keeps me alive during hunting season. Make sure to check out their instant sticks that's actually made from real coffee, freeze-dried. And it tastes really good, and it doesn't hurt my gut. I just love that stuff. And they also have their tea bags, which is instant. So make sure to check that out. Check out everything we're doing over there at Eastmans. And, man, with that, yeah, I got out, looked at, I told you guys I drew that moose tag, which is such an awesome opportunity. It's like 20 years of living in this state. I can't remember if I've been applying 20, 21 years, 22. I'll have to look at how many years I've been applying for this tag, but I just drew it in an awesome mountain range. They actually combined a couple units this year to make the unit even bigger yet. So I've got a ton of country to cover. So I've been kind of bear hunting in that area a little bit, kind of like a twofold, where I'm hunting and looking for bears in spots that I like, but also exploring some moose country. And so seeing a lot of sign. Saw a bull the other day. I actually saw a couple moose the other day. I'm not sure if the other one was a bull. It was so far away. They just have little velvet nubs right now, so I can't really tell what they are, but look like kind of the one that I was close to looked like kind of a younger bull. But so excited! What an awesome opportunity! And 2.5 months in Montana to go chase these things around, and it's the largest deer species with my bow, and I'm yet to harvest one with my bow. So man, I'm really excited, and I just want to give it the due diligence it deserves with scouting, and then during season, and I want to hunt through the rut, and then also post rut into the late season if it goes that long. And I'm just looking for a great bull that gets me excited. It doesn't have to be world class, but by looking at pictures and starting to get excited for this thing, like it's got to be a pretty good bull for me to stick an arrow in it. I don't have to just kill one to kill one. I mean, I really want the meat. I've never had moose meat myself, so that'll be awesome and really fill the freezer. We're making sure that we go through all our 2021 meat, so we've got empty freezers ready for a moose if I am so lucky. But yeah, I'm going to just take in the entire experience, try not to put too much pressure on myself, and really look for a good bull. So super excited for the scouting and the hunting coming up. And then, gosh, I've just got some great tags and great adventures this season, and have a bunch of work. But that's one thing I won't sacrifice is I've got to live life to the fullest, and I will be going on a bunch of adventures this year. So just super stoked at that. Been working a lot lately. My workouts and runs have suffered. I'm still getting them in each and every week, but it's not the every day that I'm used to. So I just woke up this morning like I have to be better, more disciplined, and get these workouts in, even with the work that I'm doing, and giving myself grace, yes, but I also can't let it's that fitness is something that you have to constantly work on. And so while I am getting in a handful of good workouts a week, I need to step that up and get a couple more. So early this morning I was shooting my bow, getting that in there, and yeah, I just need to be better. Like the last week or two have definitely been slacking. Like just haven't got as many in there as I like to get. So I need to step that up. I also have a hunt coming up, so I've been working on my heat training, and it's been cold as hell here in Montana, so it's really tough to heat train when it's 30 degrees. But doing my sauna work, and then as soon as it gets hot, I'm hoping we get some heat here in the next couple weeks where I can put myself through some more heat training of running in the heat. And but I have been getting elevation, have been getting runs in, just need to be better and do a touch more here. So it's that constant balance in life, and reassessing where I'm at and my situation. I've just got great adventures and great hunts coming up, and I don't want to take them lightly. I want to come in the absolute best shape I can. So yeah, you'll hear next week's podcast. I'm going to step it up a bit. I'm going to get a long run in this weekend. Did get a good hunt day in on Sunday where I did a bunch of elevation, and my day pack, by the time I get my pistol and my camera and my spotting scope and tripod, I weighed my day pack that I went with Sunday. Is just ridiculous. It's like 27 pounds, which is crazy for a day pack. It's just carrying all that stuff with me. So I either there's no real option there when I'm not taking the kitchen sink or extra things I don't need. But, I like to have my good camera to capture photos, like to have a tripod, like to have my spotting scope. But I'll have to go through my gear and see what I can cut out of there, because 27 pounds for a day hike is pretty heavy. I like a minimalist pack. I like it as light as I can be, but it's in today's day and age, like trying to take my good camera, that's 5 pounds, and it just adds up quick. But I'm going to make some adjustments and also just make sure I'm in really good shape so I can pack that pack around, because I know during hunting season, I need the gear I need, and I need good glass, and I can definitely ditch that scope at times and just run my binos or run 15s. Surely that works on elk and things, but I really like having my scope for mule deer. So I need to go through that thing and make a few cuts so I'm not packing a million pounds around. But it is good for workouts, and it is good for climbing elevation and hiking around, and just feels really good to be in the mountains. So definitely need to get back there and make sure I'm taking at least a day a week to go enjoy the things I love to do, and also taking some evenings as well. So trying to just find that balance in my life with so much work going on and personal house going, but things are growing great on my end. Just going to keep working at it. So, man, really enjoyed that podcast with Laramy. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. And with that, I'll check in with you next week.